務める。米メディア、ピッチング忍者に、ドジャースの投手ディレクター、ヒルコーチが出演しました。番組内で、ヒルコーチは、佐々木朗希投手、山本由伸投手、そして大谷翔平選手について語りました。ここからは、その様子を字幕付きでご紹介します。
Coming in hot with some DT headlines because, woo, you spent a few days at Dodger Stadium, and we got some health updates, we got some injury updates, news. Let's lead off with one guy who's not on the IL, but I want to talk about Ohtani because I don't want to say the starts keep getting a little bit worse, but the starts keep getting a little bit worse. We know the knee's barking on him a little bit. That blister doesn't seem to be getting much better. I know you penned a column that dropped, I believe, this morning. What can you tell us about the state of Shohei Ohtani?
Yeah, I think, obviously Shohei Ohtani, for as ridiculous as he is, probably wasn't going to have a sub-1 ERA all season long. So the fact that he's allowing a couple more runs just is the nature of baseball. But I understand the concern in mid-June because we know the long-term priority for the Los Angeles Dodgers is keeping Shohei Ohtani healthy through October. It's why they've committed to a season-long 6-man rotation. It's why they've tweaked other starters like Emmett Sheehan, Justin Wroblewski to go on regular rest to make sure that Shohei can pitch in front of a scheduled off day. He was bothered by some knee inflammation in Pittsburgh, missed that game against the White Sox over the weekend. We know this, but Dodgers were mindful of the workload. Shohei didn't throw his usual bullpen on Monday. There was never really a question externally if he would make this start, but there was a little bit of concern, at least initially, internally, that they might need to push him. But they trust Shohei, and when he said he's ready to go, he was ready to go. One bad inning, similar to his last start against Pittsburgh, except this time it came in the 5th, where the bottom of the order just kind of tagged him, and it snowballed. I wonder, the Dodgers can continue using Shohei, and we talked to both him and Dave Roberts after the game. They said Dave Roberts said the knee is not completely behind them yet, but they are managing it. The blister, we saw the blood coming off his middle finger on his right hand again, seems to be less of an issue. But these are little things that when you're adding up through the course of the season, you stay mindful of because, again, of the long-term priority, save Ohtani for October. So I asked Dave Roberts post-game, is there a way where the Dodgers might consider working in some extra rest? They floated the idea of one time through the rotation being 7 or 8 days rest. They're not there yet, guys. And the reason for that is because they still have a pretty favorable schedule to close out June. Off day today, off day next Thursday in San Diego. But after that, starting June 26th, into the All-Star break, they play 15 games in 16 days. And I wonder if that might be a time to kind of sneak in a spot start from a certain River Ryan. We'll get to that. Because if I'm looking, and I'm the Dodgers, and I'm looking at making sure Shohei is healthy, I'm seeing all these little tiny things that, probably aren't a huge deal, but could be if not managed correctly. They've done a heck of a job managing this so far. I do wonder as we get into July if we see the Dodgers be a little bit more hands-on about the management of Ohtani than they already have been.
Mm-hmm. You guys, if you're not subscribing and reading Katie's stuff on The Athletic, you're missing out. Please do so. She just answered my question before I even asked it about whether or not they should give him a break.
We recognize that Shohei Ohtani, along with his enormous talent, is a flat-out gamer. He likes to compete, and he will throw and hit until he is too injured to continue. It's actually happened a number of times in his career. He's missed 2 pitching seasons because of it. So let's go one start back. He throws 6 innings against the Pirates, leading 6-1, comes out for the 7th. Not very strange, he's at 81 pitches, but several times in that inning, he faces a left-handed bat where he could have come out, including against Brandon Lau, Pittsburgh's best hitter, a man who excels against right-handed pitching. He stayed in at 98 pitches for Lau, gave up a 2-out base hit, and 2 more runs. Then an inherited runner scores. Ohtani goes from 6 innings with 1 run to 6 2/3, giving up 4 runs. That's a very different result. Now, we mildly criticized that move on this program. Perhaps we're more sensitive here. I didn't see it critiqued much anywhere else. I just think, watching from a distance, the standard method of operation for the Dodgers should be protect this man whenever we can. He's playing both ways. No one has ever done that. He's exceedingly valuable. He's the golden goose. We're likely winning our division, cruising through the summer in 3rd and 4th gear. If you've never driven a stick, that means you don't go to 5th and top speed. I know they don't drive sticks anymore. In their defense, the Dodgers have implemented a number of measures this year to back Ohtani off. They've had him start 5 games where he wasn't the DH. 5 times he's pitched ahead of the team off day, and twice he didn't play DH the day after he pitched. Very smart. Shave off a few reps, try to eliminate needless fatigue. So maybe it felt different in the fight, in the moment. But if you're watching from a distance and you hear yesterday, Ohtani is bleeding, Ohtani's banged up knee is still bothering him, it's fair to ask, why is he out there throwing a 26-pitch inning, giving up as many runs in that inning as he gave up the entire month of April? Why? Ohtani's bleeding came from a blister. His knee also giving him problems since he kind of jammed it sliding earlier in the week. 5th inning yesterday, 2-0 Dodgers. It went walk, double, sac fly, single. That should get your attention. Then it's single, infield single, fielder's choice, single. 4 runs. Even if he's being dinked and dunked, was there no point where you could get him out of there? He's given up 5 hits and he's bleeding? His ERA the last 2 starts went from an unreal 0.74 to a still excellent but much more normalized 1.47. Also, by the way, he wasn't playing DH yesterday. Good move. After he sat down after the top of the 6th, he was brought in to hit as the DH. Wait, you haven't pinch hitting? He's just pitched. Hey, just let him play shortstop. Right? At a certain point, let him go. Hey, take center field, run the ball down a little bit. What are we doing? The Dodgers are the gold standard in baseball. There's that golden goose. Their manager is a smart, decent person. No one is consciously throwing the golden goose into the oven. But from a distance, it seems they are walking that goose a little too close to the flame.
And one of my favorite stories throughout the season has been the transformation of Roki Sasaki, and it is not a straight line. And as somebody that's coached pitchers, I get it. Like, you're doing a lot here, which he didn't go to the minor leagues to work on stuff. He's learning on the fly in the majors, doing a bunch of different changes at once. I'm seeing like leg lifts and hand position, pitch arsenal, like a lot in a new country. And like you're changing wheels on a race car in the middle of a race. Help me understand what you're doing and how hard that has been and some of the secrets maybe.
Yeah, so I haven't really done as much. It's been a lot of like Connor and Mark and the boys up there just kind of cooking. But I think what Roki has showed us is just that like some of that adaptability that he began to embrace last year towards the end of the year has just become a part of who he is, right? It's just something that is more of a carrying quality that he's able to enact than maybe we had realized. So it's been really cool to see the transformations like you mentioned.
Yeah. So one of the things I know you had worked on his legs, the way he was using his lower half. Yeah. And it's something jumped out at me when I saw it the first time, because he had he had a distinct way of moving, and then you're seeing a lot of moving parts. And I don't know the tendency to want to simplify it versus complexity. What went through your mind? Like, what were the steps of changing that initial change?
Yeah, I think it was really just trying to get to the core of like what he, in a perfect world, what does he feel? What does he think? Where is he? It seemed that he was at odds with like some sort of overarching paradigm of how he should move versus the way that he wanted to move. And that happens with guys sometimes. They get influenced by who knows what, social media, your posts maybe, I'm not going to throw any stones here, but no, I'm just kidding. But like, yeah, like there's different influences and different things that come in and people fall into this, or pitchers, I guess, fall into this whole, oh, I need to move this way. I have to move this way. And so it really came down to like figuring out, okay, man, like A, you don't have to move a certain way. B, how do you want to move? What do you want to feel? And then C, like, how can we make that come to life?
Did they all know how they want to feel? Or is that something that sometimes you do through discovery? Like, hey, throw the ball as hard as you can, move freely. Like, what do you look like in long toss type of thing? Yeah.
I think it can come from a bunch of different routes. Guys like Roki, who have like a crazy, I guess, like core of who they are, and they know what their like peak has been, at least in the past. They've had like some peak outings and things like that. They usually have a little bit better of an idea, I've noticed, of like, this is what it felt like. Okay, like that might not be the same. Like that feel and what it looked like might not necessarily go along, but like I don't really give a shit like what I think. It's really what they think, and then like how can we bridge the gap,
So for him, it was kind of bending his leg a little bit more. I thought just basically feeling like he was locked in back there. Is that kind of
More or less, yeah. I think that's a good way to simplify it. It's basically giving him a more like end point that he was starting in. So then when he lifted his leg, he was forced into like the opposite range of motion, and then giving him enough space to then get back down to the right place to hold his hips in the right place.
do you find so I find this watching your pictures, specifically taking two polar opposites. You have Roki, who has a lot of moving parts to me. I'm saying when he syncs up, it's beautiful and things are just jamming and he could throw as hard as anybody. Big, tall dude, too. And then you have Yamamoto, who's on the other side, maybe the most efficient mover we've seen, and has no moving parts. It's like he just glides to the target.
Truly.
Like,
yeah, no, it's like it's like one of those like mini bottle rockets, you know?
yeah. So like, how do you, I mean, you have to deal with that as a coach dealing with mechanics. You're seeing both sides and you probably don't want to get biased and saying, Roki, why don't you move a little more like Yoshi? Because he can't. Like, that's not
Right.
a thing.
Right. Yeah, I think that's something that we really pride ourselves within our development is like individualization. I think there is actually some fun things that you can do though, especially with guys who haven't necessarily found their way yet. A lot of the guys in the minor leagues is, hey, let's try to throw like Yama today. Let's just see what it looks like if you try to like simplify it, and like how that translates to them can sometimes lead to some kind of eureka aha moments. I think like the mimicking of other dudes, whether it be super dynamic, like crazy, like Chapman or Roki or something, or super simple, like Luke Weaver or Yamamoto, are things that we've done with varying degrees of success.
So you throwing out Chapman actually reminds me of the fact that the first time I saw Roki throw in Japan, I comped him to Chapman. The difference to me is how consistent Chapman is in his movement patterns over the years, but he lost it for a little bit and had to regain the lower half movements. Is that what you saw with him?
I think that there's like certain elements that they both carry together. It's like they have such extreme limbs, right? Like their levers are so absurd that I think it takes a lot of momentum and a lot of like movement to kind of get them all like together and then figure out the way to distribute them down the mound, you know? So I wouldn't say that it's like a direct comp, but there's definitely elements that I can tie.
Yeah, that's what so the big thing that Chapman did over the years is add mass to his, he was a wiry dude who moved really fast. And I'd imagine that's probably something somewhere down the road that Roki might want to look at.
Yeah, I would imagine so. He gets after it. So, I mean, he's already up quite a bit this year, as we can see, like weight-wise and stuff.
So outside looking in, I have not talked to him. He's walked by me before. That's the best I've gotten. He seems a little bit more introverted than somebody like Yama or Shohei, who's a little more extroverted. Was it hard to get him to talk about some of that?
I wouldn't say it was like difficult. It just like it took a little bit of time to get to like the real meat and potatoes of it. It's like he would talk, and sometimes it would just take a little bit of like pushing on my part. Like, okay, like let's go. Like, give me a little bit more. Like, what do you mean? Like, I don't care. I can't. It was a lot of that. I would say it's just like, look, dude. Like, I'm not gonna. We're on the same team. We're trying to figure this out together. We're all trying to figure this out for you, all the staff and everybody. Like, let's just keep talking.
Now, talking about some of the finished products, what is your takeaway? And I don't know that you've worked with Shohei directly. What's your takeaway with how that guy moves?
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know. It's like hard to like show is something different. Like he's something different. I really enjoy the way he throws. I think that it's interesting how I mean, you've probably thrown up some comparisons, but I've seen them also of like how he threw when he was like younger, maybe a little bit like leaner versus like now. There's definitely some differences, but at the same time, the core of how he like rotates into release and like a bunch of different elements are still there that are very similar, that are, it's like allow the output to be what it is. Yeah, I don't even, it's incredible. It's incredible.
It really is. Do you know of any big changes? He's like, I did a comp at one point between him from the Angels and him to the Dodgers. And I noticed there were a bunch of positions that seem more compact to me, maybe like he was flying out a little bit. And I don't know if it's something y'all worked with, it's something he got stronger. I don't know where it came from, but there were definite changes with how he went into his windup, kind of using a little bit of a rocker step at one point.
Yeah, I don't really know exactly where that came from, to be completely honest. I think it was something that was kind of driven by him. And then coming off the injury, I know he was very conscious of like different drills that he was doing to make sure that he kept like his arm in a good position and wasn't like too long and things like that. But in terms of the specifics, I can't really recall. Shohei kind of just does Shohei sometimes.
You know, what you were just saying clicked in my head, because watching Miz warm up pre-game yesterday, I noticed him taking a lot of ground balls or lower throws and throwing from different arm slots and all that, trying to be athletic. And I wonder if that's some of the key to his development. You know, he's throwing a football, using the water bag, all that stuff. But sure. I saw that. I don't see a lot of pitchers do that on the field.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things where it's like you're still getting the relevant aspects to the throw, right? It's like you're grooving external rotation, like you're rotating your torso, like you're doing all these things, but it's just not perfectly contextual. And I think it can help build up some like versatility essentially, or like some adaptability within the joints that you're using, and probably improve like coordination. I would imagine being how Miz is like 6'8" or whatever. I would imagine getting all those joints moving together and getting awareness of like where they are in space is probably pretty important.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also talked to Yu Darvish about the same. The reason why Yu Darvish threw lefty sometimes in practice or threw from different arm slots was exactly what we're talking about, is that he felt like the body learned better when it was doing different tasks. That were, yeah. So it's kind of fun. What else has the organization learned from the way, because to me, Yama trains differently than anybody else. Like he has his own guy. He has Yada Sama alongside him. Has the organization learned something from the way he's trained? Can MLB learn something from the way he trains?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, like, to be honest, like a lot of the principles that Yama, I guess, embodies are things that like we have tried to do, myself, like Ian Walsh, other people, have tried to embody and like become normal like parlance for pitching training in general, right? It's like the segmentation of the spine, like the way that like the shoulder couples in with like external rotation inside that, like all the ways that he trains, I think is pretty incredible. Like honestly, like it's like a center out model as opposed to like different things that people can think about. So yeah, I like love how Yama trains. I think he's consistently and gradually exposing his body to the positions that he's going to need to get to at high speeds on the mound. So then his nervous system and his skeletal structure are like ready to take on those positions at high speeds.
And it's funny because he does it at such a non-technological level where I think we get so bought into technology, watching somebody do it totally differently, not heavy lifting, working on positions, working on mobility. It's turning our traditional development almost on its head.
For sure. And I think it's like, I was so excited. I mean, for a million reasons when we signed him, but one of them was literally that. It was like, wow, this is really cool. Like we'll get to actually see, behind the curtain as to like how he melds it into traditional development in terms of throwing and stuff. But I think it's like his body is made to perform to throw. He is not trying to like win the weight room or win, whatever, which, some guys need to. It's totally okay. But it's so interesting of how far to the extreme it is. It's like he's chucking long toss almost every day. Like he's throwing weighted implements like 60 yards. Like he's doing all kinds of like different things that like most guys would look at and maybe balk. But I think that there's something to be learned without a doubt.
How much did it blow your mind watching him come what he did? Like I still don't believe it. I was there I was in LA for watching him warm up during the 18-inning game.
Oh yeah, so was I. That was crazy.
Yeah, and like going like, no, wait, that looks like Yamamoto in the bullpen, but I'm sitting behind home plate and I can barely make it out. And my daughter texts me and goes, Yamamoto's warming up in the bull. And I'm like, no, he's not. He can't be. What was that like watching that? I
don't even know. I mean, like that was one piece, but then obviously coming into game 7
right,
and doing what he did is just like, again, like there has to be something, and I don't know what it is, right? I don't know if we could quantify it right now, but there has to be something to like the way his body moves and the way he trains, allowing for that to happen, right? Like, how many guys would be able to do that if you asked them to? Like, a lot of guys would probably try, but who could like go out and like throw like a mile an hour harder than the day before? Man, I don't really know. You know?
Yeah, I was talking to my son after that, and he's like, I felt like that's impossible. Like when I threw, I could barely lift my arm the next day.
Yeah, right. Same.
And Scooble, I think, said the same thing. Scooble was watching it going, like, that's everybody's dream, but I don't know how he did that.
Yeah. I think there's just so much to be learned. That's all I can really like say about it.
Do you think the coaching experience helps at all with that?
In terms of like,
in terms of like knowing that your body can do it, because they have to throw a lot of pitches in a little period of time. And it's almost culturally like, hey, this is what we do. This is for the team. The team is bigger than you, but conditioned to do it.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe. I think it's like that aspect plus the training, I would have to imagine, right? Like it's a throwing first culture as opposed to like throwing is like this, like, I still think there's a little bit too much of a negative like rhetoric around throwing and throwing more and pitching and et cetera, when it's like, well, clearly it isn't just true. I think that like the way to resist the stresses of throwing is more exposure, not like underexposure.
And I've noticed a lot more Japanese pitchers. Actually, I was at the WBC in Japan watching them throw footballs. Like that's something, another throwing pattern that you get that's not your typical baseball stuff that's still throwing.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, we like, if you were to see our plyo wall here at Camelback Ranch, there are so many absurd implements just like around. Like we got like the whistle Nerf footballs. Like we have the little javelins, the Yama javelins. Like we have normal footballs. Like we have one of those. Have you seen those footballs that have like the rounded edge? It's not like double sided, so you can throw it off the wall to yourself.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, like we have those. Like because yeah, I mean, we're firm believers that like being able to throw multiple different objects in multiple different ways is just the best way to bolster yourself from injury.
いかがでしたでしょうか。このチャンネルでは日本人メジャーリーガーなどを中心に野球情報をお届けしています。この動画が良かったら高評価、チャンネル登録をよろしくお願いいたします。今回も最後までご覧いただきありがとうございました。